That's fine.
Right.
Morning, everyone. And as soon as you say get going, you have someone trying to get in from the lobby. Anyway, morning, everyone. Welcome to this ERSA session with Saffron Interactive. In a moment, I'll introduce our colleagues from Saffron Interactive to you. And today we're going to be talking about the subject of career adaptability. Before we get into that, I'm going to ask Elizabeth Taylor, CEO of ERSA, to come in and give us some sector updates. And then Elizabeth, after you've done that, if you hand back to me, and I'll come back to the introduction.
Okay, thanks, Tony. So super quick from me. I'm sure we're all waiting for the announcements at the spending review tomorrow. Long awaited, hoping that we get some insight into how ESF reserves and the Future Shared Prosperity Fund will be used and allocated. We're also expecting that after the spending review, we will have the DWP announcement about the large national contract that will be secured off the new commercial agreement at Tier 1. So there will be lots of ERSA events around market engagement, and just to continue our UK SPF work, that campaign never goes away. And I hope you can all join us on the 11th of December at our special end of year general meeting. Anyway, back to Tony.
Thanks, Elizabeth. That's lovely. And thank you all for those people who have joined us this morning. I'm going to hand over shortly, but just to give a quick bit about the format for today. This meeting is designed to be interactive, so it's a seminar rather than a lecture. Our colleagues Noorie Sazen and Ben Broadrib are going to be taking us through some slides and a presentation about Saffron Interactive. And I won't steal your thunder, Noorie. I'll let you do the detail on it. But we'd really like to generate some thoughts, comments, opinions and questions in the chat function, or as we're on Teams, you can raise your hand if you can see that function. And I'll do my best to facilitate that conversation. So don't be shy. Ian obviously won't be shy, but Ian works for Saffron Interactive, so we need to see some more people on the call putting in their questions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Noorie Sazen and Ben Broadrib.
Thank you, Tony. Well, thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. I'm just going to turn off my video so I can share the slides. 1 second. And just let me know if you can see that. Can you see that, Tony?
Yep, that's come through.
Yeah, we can
Brilliant.
see it.
Okay, so this is me, my Saffron avatar. But really, I'm a director of Saffron Interactive. And prior to leading Saffron, my background was in consulting. So I was a partner at KPMG, leading the people services business in London and Eastern counties. But I've also worked in-house. So I had a global role at BP and an EMEA role at Lendlease, which is an Australian headquartered construction and development company. I'm not actually going to say too much about Saffron, but Saffron is a top 15 highest performing learning technologies provider globally. And that's assessed and accredited by the Learning and Performance Institute. What we're known for is really developing cutting edge, innovative digital solutions that have a verifiable change impact. And we do that by using our understanding of the behavioural and neurosciences, and also pedagogy in the design of our solutions. So we were talking just previously about prizes. Does everyone actually know what pedagogy means? No?
I think you can explain for me.
Great. Okay, well, pedagogy is really about the science behind making adult learners self-determined. So if you're there and you've provided the resources, how do you actually get them to commit to self-determined learning? But what we're going to be talking about today is career adaptability. I'm going to start with what is it and why does it matter? Well, the clear thing is that it's not just about transferable skills. Transferable skills is definitely a part of understanding where an individual is in terms of their, if you like, career journey or their adaptation journey. But career adaptability is a bit more than just transferable skills. And why does it matter? Well, it matters because by including career adaptability in the design of employment-based solutions, it provides us with more return on investment. More return on investment in terms of completions, people actually undertaking any program, but also completing it. And once they've been through one round of solution that has career adaptability as its basis, what it also does is it prepares them as individuals better for any secondary and tertiary solutions that are developed. And that isn't just something that we sort of have determined. This is based on real research and actual other governments using this around the world and using it to their great advantage. China, whatever we may think or not think of them, have used this to great advantage to essentially leapfrog and scale in terms of ensuring that their socio-economic solutions incorporate career adaptability. Lastly, it prepares people for the future. And so why is this important? Well, it's important because it's about the future of work. When I first started out my career, what I was expected to be was an I-shaped practitioner. That is, having a really deep specialism in the area that I worked in. As my career adapted and grew, I had to become a T-shaped practitioner. A T-shaped meaning, having a broad experience, but also that deep specialism. And now what we're expected to do is have that broad specialism and that deep expertise, but have it in a number of different areas. And what we are now moving to with having what's predicted portfolio careers, which is essentially not one career, but a number of different careers throughout our life, but also not the same career at the same time. So what's predicted is essentially loaning employees to other organisations because of the skills gap that we can envisage, but also having not a 9-to-5 job or an 8:30 to 7 o'clock job, whatever it might be, but having a number of jobs in the week. So different jobs, different employers during the week. And that is going to require this M shape to be constantly recurring so that it becomes or pi. And the adaptation of that to even greater length is essentially becoming an E shape, which is not only having the depth of experience and also the breadth, but having that execution capability in each of those. So that's what the future is predicted to be and what skills and adaptability are going to be. But getting back to that career adaptability, what is that being based on? Well, it's been based on this career construction theory by Mark Savikas, and it's quite recent research, and it's been looked at over and over again and verified since 2005. But what it's about is showing the effectiveness of employability solutions, needing to understand people's vocational personality and interpret their life themes, and also then assessing how they demonstrate career adaptability. So, what is the theory and what does it actually look like? Well, the first thing is around concern. If you can assess the strength of people's career adaptability, then you can understand how likely are they to make the leap from where they are to where they need to be. So concern, how interested are they in the future? Do they look ahead and plan for what might come next? Control, do they take responsibility for career development? Do they feel that they can influence and shape it? Curiosity, to what extent do they imagine and explore different scenarios? And confidence, do they believe in themselves and their ability to pursue these goals? Now, commitment came in from recently through a study through Warwick University, and Jenny Brimrose added commitment. So this relates a little bit to the heutagogy that I was talking about. How steadfast will they be in following their plan and their goals? And lastly, I would add capability. Do they have the resources, whether that's cognitive, financial, access, all of those kind of practical things to be able to do 1 to 5 above. So that's the theory and the research. How do we all put it all together, and how can we as providers provide these kinds of solutions at scale, make them digital, but also human? How can you actually make sure that the solutions that you're creating are human-centered and based on something that works for the target audience? How can you make it accessible to individuals that need it the most? And more importantly, how can you make it behavioural and continuous? Lastly, there are, analytics. How can you actually make sure that all of this that you're doing around your employer solutions are actually being analysed and are giving you meaningful insights and data so that you can improve your programs in real time, as opposed to at the end of any KPI metric that's been and timeline that's been given to you? And has it had independent evaluation, and ultimately is it customizable? Those are sort of the important questions in putting together a solution design. And what I'm going to ask is Ben, my colleague, to show you how we have done this for a program that we put together for the Trade Union Congress, and has just gone live to the majority of the unions under their purview. So I'm just going to actually hand over to Ben to show you how this has been put together. But has anyone got any questions in the meantime?
There's nothing in the chat just yet, so
No?
we can come back to questions after Ben's bit.
Okay, Ben, do you want to share your screen?
Yep, sure. There we go. So hopefully you can see
Yes,
the starting page Excellent. Okay, so like Noorie said, this is the program that we're putting together, that we have put together, and it's just very recently gone live. And what I'll do is just give you kind of a little bit of a whistle-stop tour, because it is a program that if you were completing it from start to finish, we wouldn't have enough time to be showing you every single part of it today. So I will show you the journey that the learner is taken on through kind of various stages. So this is the course map that they would see first of all, and once they enter, they're just given the opportunity to obviously agree to the terms and conditions. I'll just put in test. I'm trying to think of a number that I haven't used yet. Test email, but they'd enter their email, and then they are then taken to the point where they're choosing a mentor. So the idea is that this program will it's aimed at people who are in a position where they're potentially going to be changing career. They might have recently experienced difficulties or uncertainty with their career, or they might just be looking for a new opportunity and to change into a different area. So like Noorie said, that kind of idea of adaptability and being able to use the skills that you've got in a way that sort of applies. You're applying skills that you've got gained through your job role, but also throughout your wider life, and applying those to help you adapt and take on kind of new career opportunities. So the idea in the program is that they are guided through by a video mentor. Now there's 4 different characters that they can choose from, and essentially these were put together based on actual kind of focus group sessions and feedback that we got based on the different kinds of demographics and different kinds of people who are most likely to be using the program, and the kinds of people that would be helpful to guide those people through this program. So you can see that we've got 4 character profiles here. So we've got Mike, Susan, Javid, and Alicia, and you can see that they've got their kind of career profile and their character profile at the bottom as well. If there's a mentor that you're particularly interested in hearing, actually, I think I may have not selected audio. So bear with me one moment. I'll reshare my screen so you can definitely hear. There we go. So hopefully you can see that again, but you'll be able to actually hear it when I press play.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. Nice to meet you. So a little about me. I'm 29 years old and I'm married with 2 young children.
So you get the opportunity to actually hear a little bit from each of the mentors and choose whether or not they are somebody who you kind of identify with, if they're somebody who you feel is going to be able be a character who can support you, and you can kind of build up a relationship as you would with a mentor in real life. It's important to say that these are not meant to replace kind of human interaction, if you like. Obviously, having a video mentor makes it somebody who you can emotionally connect with. It's not a kind of a character, an animated character or a fictional character. You know, like it's a human character, so you're able to identify with them. But throughout the program, the idea is that you will be given the opportunity to connect with people when you need to. So connect with real people. The mentor guides you and gives you that advice all the way through. And also, if you're not sure who you want to choose, there is a quiz that you can answer. It just asks you a few questions about your situation, and then it recommends the most suitable mentor for you based on what your situation is. But if I just choose Mike, you'll be able to see how the conversation continues.
Hi there, I'm Mike. Thanks for choosing me as your mentor. I'll be your guide on this journey. So, what should I call you? You can either post a video, record yourself, or type your response.
Okay, so here we have Mike. Obviously, the first kind of questions that you have when you're going through with the mentor is just to kind of collect some information about you. So simple things such as your name, your age, where you live in the UK, but also how you feel about different things, such as, you know, what your experience of online learning is at this moment, and how you feel about things like that, and also how you're feeling about your career at this point. So the mentor is able to give you kind of tailored guidance and tailored support. So if you're feeling confident, they can say, great, that's really good, and you can use that confidence. If you're feeling less confident, they ask you some more questions about where those kind of lack of confidence issues are coming from, or those lack of understanding, and they can direct you to support. So for example, here there's a resources section that you can be directed to throughout. So they're directed to contact the National Career Service, the TUC, and also their particular union, or to find a union if they're not a member of the union at the moment. And then there's additional support as well. If I just show you as well, I've just actually turned my video off on Teams so that you should hopefully be able to see the video. There we go. So the learner's also able, this is to help with accessibility, and also just to give the learner different ways of being able to engage with the mentor. So there are points throughout where they can type an answer, they can record an answer as audio, or they can record it as video, and the program actually detects what it is that they've said and records that information. And there are points throughout where it actually sends them on different routes depending on what it is that they've said. So it detects phrases that they've picked up, or that they've said, sorry, it picks up phrases, or it detects things such as sentiment, whether they're feeling positive, whether they're not feeling so positive. And I'll show you an example of that a little bit further on. So if I just show you, the conversation continues.
Nice to meet you. If you're comfortable doing so, tell me what gender you identify as.
So the conversation here, this opening conversation, will continue, and then I'll just skip a little bit further on with another one of our mentors here. So this is the point at which you've completed that initial conversation and you're getting ready to do the skills assessment, which is looking at all those different skills that you might have, and working and helping you to kind of balance out and work out what you might be able to do in order to adapt. So if I just play
what skills and experience you have, not just in the job that you do or have done, but throughout your life. So, for example, you may work in construction, but you have a real passion for baking. Be honest.
So here, obviously, the chatbot's giving a little bit more of a introduction and guiding the learner with the way in which that they want to be completing this assessment. Give them a little bit of insight on exactly how they, as a character who has gone through this process. So they're somebody who's meant to have an understanding of going through the Create Your Own Future program. Gives them some examples to help them. So if they're ready to continue with the skills assessment, they are then taken straight to it. So the skills assessment is a series of cards that gives them different skills to rate themselves on, and they can rate themselves as undeveloped, adequate, competent, or very competent. And the idea is that the program takes how they assess themselves and gives them an output based on that. So they can assess themselves, and they're guided through these cards. If they need additional help, they've got the mentor here to help them. So if there's a card which has got a little bit of extra information, it gives them that information. If they need additional help after that, they're then taken to oh, I've turned the sound off, haven't I? They're taken to a kind of a help section where they can ask any questions that they need, and if they're still not quite sure, they're then guided towards that external help, which might be a union learning representative, somebody from the National Career Service, or sometimes it might just be a person that they have in their life, a family member or a friend, just reminding them that this is a journey that they're not on their own completing. So once they've completed those skills cards, I'll just skip to towards the end of that. You'll then see, so these are already filled in just because this is one that I've completed previously, just in true Blue Peter style. So
those cards, are you happy and are you ready to move on, or do you want to look over the skills cards once again?
So this is just another mentor. Just important to mention that once they've selected their mentor, they would have the same mentor throughout. That's the idea, that they're building up this relationship. I'm just showing you a few of the different mentors to give a little bit of variety. So once they've completed those skills cards, they're given the opportunity to have another look over them if they want to refresh and just double check, or they can move straight on.
Great, let's keep going. Sound good?
So they can then move on to an output showing them how they answered those questions. Just gives them a quick visual to show how they're feeling. So the way I've answered these, they're obviously feeling they're quite strong on a lot of skills, and then there's a few skills where they feel they're underdeveloped or just adequate at the moment. And then this takes them from that to their results, which is essentially taking those skills assessment and building up a profile of what their skills are at the moment and where they may need to develop them further. So they're taken down and shown a whole lot of different careers. So these are sorted into kind of career families, job families. So you can select a job family and see the roles in that. So each of these roles, the green segments are skills where they've rated themselves as either competent or very competent, and the red ones are the ones where they need to develop a little bit further, and it gives them a little bit more information if that's a job that they're interested in pursuing further. They're given a little bit more information, and then if they want a little bit more information, there's a link for every job out to an external website, which is the National Career Service website, which gives them information such as the salary, the working hours, what kind of time scale they might be working on, and also lots of different courses and opportunities for them to develop those skills that they might need. So the idea is once they've completed their skills assessment, they can take the time to review these different jobs, these different careers. There's also training that's given to them, which they can pin. The idea is that they pin these to save for further on in their journey. So they're thinking about at this point what it is that they might want to be doing. And at the moment, the chatbot gives them guidance, says, you're not committing yourself to anything at this point, but it's good to have some ideas. So encouraging them to have these different ideas of what they could do and how they can pursue that further. So once they've pinned their careers and they've pinned their training that they might want to complete, this is saved up here. They can pin as many as they would like to, but they're guided that they need to pin at least two courses and two careers before they're able to continue, just so they've got those ideas to work on. So,
hey, well done. You should be proud of yourself. Taking in all this new information, it's not easy. Before we move on to the action plan, it would be good to know how you're feeling about your results and the recommended careers. I found it quite surprising when I completed the programme, to be honest. It included lots of careers I'd never considered before. It took me a bit of time to figure out what I wanted to set my goals as. How about you? Start your answer with I feel or I'm feeling.
So this is one of those examples where the mentor is asking a question, asking them to give a sentiment or tell how they're feeling at this point. And depending on how they're feeling, they can record it, they can do it as a video, audio, they can do it as text. Depending on how they're feeling, they'll be given a different response. So if I say, I'm feeling, I'm feeling happy with my results.
I'm glad to hear you're feeling positive. I found my results useful to see what I was capable of.
So yeah, so they're directed towards a route where, because they're feeling positive, it builds on that positivity. If I given an answer where I said I'm feeling worried, I'm feeling nervous, I'm not sure, then the video mentor would have taken a slightly different route and said, okay, let's work on why you're feeling that way, giving them some encouragement and support, and letting them know where they can get that support from. So once they've completed that, they're then taken through a further set of questions with the video mentor, just assessing how they're feeling, thinking about things such as barriers and motivators, asking them to think about those things that will really help them to achieve their goals and things that might get in the way and where they can get support for those. And they carry the things that they've taken from their results through to their action plan. And the action plan is set up essentially like a kind of interactive to-do list. So the idea is that they will take the jobs that they've thought about, and they've taken the training that they're wanting to do, and they're now putting those into actionable goals. that will help them create that future that they want. So you can see here I've inputted a couple of goals here. There's also a completed goal that you'll see when we move on to the final stage, the way in which those work. So an active goal would just be something like, apply for something like that. So depending on the priority, it can help them to manage which goals are the most important at this point. You can give themselves a time frame to complete it, so it's like a smart objective, and then they can categorize it depending on what it is that they're going to do. So they could say schedule a meeting with HR, and then that's saved, and then that's added to their action plan. You can see also they get milestones, notifications that will help them, giving them that little bit of encouragement, giving them a bit of a nudge, and showing them that what they're doing is making an impact, and that it's the course is responding, and their mentor will respond at different points, giving them encouragement. But also, if there's times where if they're struggling with their timelines, if they're not ticking off goals on their action plan, the mentor will come in and say, hey, it looks like you're having a little bit of trouble, can I support you? If they don't log in for a certain amount of time, it'll detect, and then there will be external nudges. So it might send them a little email to say, haven't seen you for a couple of weeks, don't forget that all of this is going to help you create the future that you want. And then when they return to the program, it'll remember where they got to, but the chatbot will also have a conversation with them to make sure that they're feeling like they can get back on track and got the support that they need. So once they've completed their action plan, the final place that they're brought to after a conversation about how they're feeling again, so we're constantly continuously capturing the progress that they're making, and that's all saved within the program. They're taken to their dashboard. So the dashboard is where essentially it's the end point, but the idea is that this will be a continuous learning journey. So there will be something, the learner will hopefully know what it is that they want to achieve by the end of completing all of their goals, but they can use this as a place to do continuous learning and continuous growth. So if they've managed to successfully move from one area of work into another, they could then use this to say, you know what, I want to see if I can progress further, if I can build up my skills even further. So they can add more goals, they can add more learning, they can add anything that they need to help them progress further. And this dashboard is essentially their kind of portal to the future that they want. So here they have the milestones that they've achieved. So anytime they achieve something, it'll be saved here, so they can look back and see the progress that they've made. Any notes that they've made throughout the course, so the notes section just gives them the opportunity to add any notes, simply to just keep everything in one place. So it could be linked to a particular skill. It could just be a reminder about something they want to do on the program, or it could be, could just be something to help them kind of balance other things that they have to do in their life against creating this future that they want. Here they've got the careers that they've pinned, and they can change those. They can go back to their results and pin more careers. They can change the careers that they've pinned, and then any courses that they've pinned all appear here. So there are courses that are external courses, such as anything through Union Learn. So these are kind of 8 to 12 week courses. They're a bit longer. It gives them their course level. It gives them ideas about funding and how they can complete those. But there are also courses that we have created that are about building up these kind of core skills that are really important no matter what area you're looking to move into. And these load within the course itself. So for example, and there's points throughout where the mentor encourages them and says, hey, if you're finding it tricky to get motivated, there's a motivational techniques course, why not give it a go? And these come in, they're all about 15 minutes long, and they load directly in the course here. So it's just a simple 15-minute course, but it gives them a hand with different motivational techniques or whatever it might be that they're wanting to build up. So once they've completed that, at the end of that course, they'll receive a certificate, but also that will be ticked off on their dashboard as well. I mean that's an overview of the journey, and the idea is that it will just continue as long as the learner needs it to continue, and develops that kind of blended approach of digital support through the video mentor, but also directing them to that external support as and when they need it from whoever that might be in the real world, if you like. Okay. Are there any questions that have come up in the chat that would be good to cover at this point?
There are a few. Is it okay if I read them out to you?
Yeah, of course. And obviously, Noorie, if you know, I'll
Yes,
try.
please.
But by all means, jump in as and when as well.
Dahlia has put a couple in the chat. Dahlia, you'd be very welcome to unmute and ask these yourself, or if you don't want to, I can ask them for you. You going to come in, Dahlia? Okay, I can't hear you, Dahlia, but I'll pick up on your first one. So the first question was around the mentors, and I suppose the inclusion agenda, and thinking about having a mentor who is obviously from the BAME community, and there was also a suggestion about having a mentor with an obvious disability as well.
Yeah, so we created this program under the guidance of, if you like, who the mentors should be, what they should look like, in connection with the union learning representatives that we were talking to. They also had to conform, if you like, to the National Retraining Scheme cohort. So we've obviously got two from ethnic minorities as mentors, so that's Javed and Alicia. What you're possibly referring to is someone who is obviously Black. We can obviously extend those mentors in the future if there is an actual requirement. This was done with 200 individuals in focus groups, and these were the mentors that were chosen in terms of background and in terms of how they looked. It's got to be acknowledged that this was also, the focus groups, etc., were done just prior to, if you like, the Floyd uprisings and the Floyd incidents. So, I think including someone now as a more direct representation of the BAME community is a good idea, and it's something that we can customize into this program at any point. So I think it's a really good idea. It's just to give you some idea of how this program came into being. We've also, to be honest, had some filming issues due to COVID as well. So some of the actors that we chose to film couldn't actually make it because we wanted to choose individuals that could make certain sessions, as well as having the right character. So that also influenced a little bit on choice of mentors that were available at that time.
Okay, thanks, Noorie. Please add other questions into the chat or put your hand up and come in for the conversation, because unfortunately I will dominate with my questions otherwise. So please, someone else come in. I'll go back to the chat in a moment, but I had a question about, I suppose, the science behind the kind of matching stuff. So how does it come up with a kind of suggested new career or job title?
Yeah, so we actually used a specialist career matching organisation to do that. So what they did was they matched all of the skills cards that we have, and the skills cards themselves come from a previous tool that we created for Union Learn as part of an Erasmus program. And it was very, very effective in actually making people think about their transferable skills. And the evidence was that it really did move people in terms of thinking about their careers and actually move people from one job to another type of job. So the skills were based around that and modified to make them shorter and a little bit more written in a way that would help this particular cohort to be able to understand them. There's obviously help with the mentors as well. But then we had a career a company called Aspire iGen, who is, you know, well versed with analysing career frameworks, actually match these skills directly against the 1,527 job profiles that are in the National Careers website. So that matching exercise was initially done by a specialist company, and then we've obviously programmed this depending on how you actually rate yourself to actually then match to those profiles.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Noorie. Jeanette, I'm going to bring you in a moment, but someone's just put their hand up, so I'm just going to bring in, I think it's Deborah who's put their hand up. Is that right? Yes, Deborah, do you want to come in? Or have you just lowered your hand? I think. Deborah, are you coming in? Because your hand was raised. Oh, maybe not. In which case, Jeanette in the chat. Jeanette, would you like to come in and ask your question?
Yes, if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Can hear you.
Oh, great. I'm going to keep the video off because I've got sort of bandwidth issues. Just a quick one. It's about the sort of portability of the information contained within the programme. Now, you've created something for Union Learn. Does that mean that somebody who can use this forever, that this has a long shelf life for them to access, even after they've left the union or they've kind of put it down for a couple of years? I mean, how long does this stay active and something that they can use throughout their career life and their portfolio careers?
Sure. So the first question, I'm really glad that you asked that. Firstly, this tool at the moment is completely free of charge, and it is available to union members or non-union members. Secondly, we are hoping that it will be available for as long as people actually need it. And thirdly, what we are hoping to do is that every single decision, any single data point in here, and we assume that any sort of average individual would have about 200 to 300 data points throughout here. All of that data in the background is actually being analysed. So if there are deficiencies that we can do things about, or insights that are actually being given to us, then that will go to improving the programme. And, you know, some of you have given us great feedback already on how that programme could be improved. So what we're hoping to do is keep improving it. So we are hoping that this will be available for as long as people need it.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that, if that's okay? There's a bit of feedback, I'm sorry. I guess this interface is for the learner themselves, but traditionally, I suppose, many people within employability and skills will have a one-to-one advisor, or perhaps that kind of person who manages their journey. Do you envisage that advisor would also have an interface with this to access someone's journey and the data points that you talked about previously, Noorie?
Yeah. Absolutely. We know that there is only, so much that the digital environment can do for people, and that actually, real problems are solved by having that human contact, whether that's a digital contact or virtual contact at the moment, given the COVID situation. But, really speaking to a person. So, I'm not sure if people heard me, but
I'm just going to suggest people go on mute if you're not talking, because we can hear your amazing ringtone in the background.
Could you call me back? Sorry, I'm in a meeting at the moment.
Ravinder, I think you might be unmuted.
After 2, thanks.
Let's see if I can mute her.
So just to repeat really, you know, we know that the digital element here, even though we've got a video bot, which is, you know, much more immersive, even though it can detect what is being said or uploaded to the platform, we know that that is not the end all and be all of this journey, and that the human element is ever so powerful. And so what we're expecting is for this to be side by side or supported with human help. So definitely, you know, there will be people who are, you know, happy to go through this just as a digital intervention, but it's not intended to be necessarily as a standalone. For those people that need human support, there are signs all the way throughout, signpostings to people that can actually physically, or rather, you know, who are human, who can actually help.
Okay, thanks. I have another couple of questions in the chat, but I guess one thing that I'm interested to know from looking at this, it looks like a really clean interface, and it makes sense in terms of what you've gone through. Apologies if I've missed this, but what do you see as the real impact? I mean, the kind of, my rude question is, so what? You know, what difference does this make, do you think?
I think the first thing that it helps is it really provides a conversation with an individual. Now, you know, all of this is very personal, it's very sensitive to those people that don't want to go out and reach for physical help in the first place. And when we've dealt with other sensitive issues, we found that actually digital can be, as long as obviously there's access to it, digital can be the start of a reflective journey. And so at the most difficult points through this journey, what we have then suggested is human help. So the impact of it is to start people exploring, start people thinking, start people being concerned about their future, that if they lose their job at Morrison's, they won't necessarily be able to just go to Asda and take up the same job. You know, this is about making them aware of how the future is going to potentially impact them, but also not just worrying people, but providing support, resources that allows them to go through this journey in a supported way, to be able to upskill, reskill, retrain, and essentially be in control of their own futures. And that is, I think, really important. When people feel in control, they can feel that they are being supported, then they can actually take that action step. And all of this program is designed also to create action. So it's turning thought into actionable things. All throughout, you know, we might have the best intentions in the world, but then life takes over. So throughout here, you know, there are those behavioural nudges that we you know, get all the time from social media, inviting you back into the platform, congratulating you for the little milestones that you're actually taking. Now, you know, this is an extensive exercise that we've already done, as I said previously, with Union Learn. It's taking it to a completely different level. And we know from that it has made an impact. You know, we've had 76% of people that did the original exercise have actually changed their thinking around careers. And, you know, a large proportion of that 76% have actually changed careers. So we know that this kind of intervention can make a difference and can make an impact. This is also, you know, has been independently assessed by the Live Work Studio in terms of the basis of how it's been designed, and we've included people who would benefit, you know, 200 people who would benefit from this kind of intervention in the solution design. So we think that it is going to have an impact because it's been designed for people that are at that sharp end, if you like, in terms of that the cohort. And also our whole change theory, so our theory of impact, if you like, has also been evaluated by the Learning and Work Institute. And they are also going to verify that change at the end of March 2021.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I guess just with time coming almost to an end on this, but with the with what Elizabeth was telling us earlier, you know, the market is expected to see a very large contract commissioned quite soon. So I guess, Noorie, I'm just interested to know, what do you actually want to do with the people on this call or the wider kind of ERSA members community? Is there a particular call to action or something that you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, this platform, I think, you know, the basis of it is ultimately customizable. So if there are solutions that you are trying to respond to, you know, this can be part of your solution design. It doesn't have to be necessarily, you know, just with us, but we think that the framework, the scientific framework that we've used, plus the practical focus groups that we've used to design this program, is a good approach in terms of getting that impact, meeting those KPIs. So we'd certainly welcome, you know, discussions with people who are designing solutions to see if this could actually work, but if not this, then something else.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Noorie. I'm going to have a quick look in the chat now to see. I know there were a couple of practical questions within here which I think were useful for people to look at. So Deborah asks, well, Deborah wants to know how this relates to labour market information. So looking at the options people have that are available in their local area. Does it go so far as that?
So it doesn't currently. But it can do. So it can link to live job boards, so labour market information in a particular area. It can link to you know, other career services or other individuals. It can link to CRMs and therefore sort of take account of you know, that kind of data transfer. All of that is completely customizable.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to go back to a question Dahlia's put in here. Have you considered adding a 180 or 360 assessment option to provide opportunities for individuals to include a view of their skills and abilities that they may not be aware of?
So that would involve obviously someone else assessing them. I think we can do that as a customization, absolutely. It could be their counsellor that is actually assessing them. All of those are absolute customizations that can happen depending on the programme. That wasn't possible with this particular situation. Firstly, because this was built in a really very short time period in order to meet the rollout for COVID and getting something out there, given the number of redundancies that are happening currently, and also the digital disruption that's happening currently. But all of those additional things can be incorporated.
Okay, that's great. So I guess what I'm hearing from you is that it's very customizable, which I think is a word. And actually on that point, Annette was asking something similar around, are you working with companies that may be looking at large-scale redundancies to support future career opportunities, and do you link with NCS, which I think is going to be the National Careers Service rather than the Citizen Service?
Yeah. So we are certainly hoping to. We've only just built this, so it's only just gone live, literally a matter of a few days ago. Are we wanting to link in with large employers? Yes, absolutely. Are we going to link in with prime providers that are wanting to deliver this for local authorities or the like? Yes, absolutely. What's the second part of that question?
That's fine. It was, do you link in with the National Career Service?
So we mentioned the National Career Service throughout this particular programme in terms of directing people there if they, don't have a uni learning representative that they can go to. We haven't directly linked with the National Career Service, but this programme was part funded by the Department for Education. So that is, if you like, phase 2 to get more integrated either with the National Career Service or even Job Centre Plus or live job boards. All of those things are, if you like, a phase 2 element.
Okay, that's great. And I'm just looking at the time. We've probably got to draw this to a close now. So before we end, Noorie, how do people get in touch with you if they want to have a further conversation?
Absolutely. Please do send any questions to us. If you send them to info@saffroninteractive.com. When the slides go out, there'll also be contact details on there, so you can contact us directly. But yeah, absolutely looking forward to having conversations, whether it's about this programme or any issues that you're currently trying to tackle. Really more than happy to have a conversation.
That is great. So I would just like to thank Noorie and Ben and Ben's fantastic moustache. And I hope you all have wonderful weeks. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.